retired IGP3 dog AJ was attacked by a pit bull in our neighborhood. And so we thought we would do an episode dedicated to him and to the attack, kind of explaining what happened, what we did, preventative measures that were taken.
Welcome to the podcast. So today's podcast, we're going to talk about a dog attack that happened to AJ, our IGP3 retired German Shepherd. So July 8th, Amanda and I were walking in the morning with AJ, and we're coming down a multi-way path, probably about 10 minutes from our house. And in this area, we've had multiple off-leash dogs, and we've put in some complaints to bylaw already. And but this day, we were coming up to a couple. Both of them had pit bulls, and the one fella was just crossing the pathway to take his poop bag to the garbage, and his wife or girlfriend was just going the other way, and we had stopped to just make space so he could do that. And so at that point in time he was crossing, he dropped the leash. The dog pulled a little bit and pulled the leash out of his hand, and so my immediate thoughts was like, oh crap, hopefully this is going to be good, because the dog hit on AJ right away. And so the guy picks up the leash right away, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness, like, it's all good. The guy puts the poop bag in the garbage and starts walking away, and the dog turns around, backs out, and pulls right out of its collar. So at this point in time, the dog starts making its way to us, and I put AJ to my side. We had ran into this guy earlier, probably about a couple of weeks before, and he had his dog off leash, and I told him he should have his dog on leash. He said, don't worry, he's friendly, but yeah, you're right, I should have him on. And that was pretty much about it. So
we didn't have a dog with us at that time.
No, not at that time. So, and then I tried to stay as calm as possible, because like this dog didn't really show any aggression. He didn't have any hair up on the back or any growling or coming charging us or anything like that. It was just really calm. It just came up to us really calm. So I put AJ to my side, and tried my best not to wanted to escalate the situation, because I didn't know if I went after this dog a little bit, it could show a little bit more fight drive, more fight towards us, and escalate the situation more.
And there was no need to. I mean, the guy was right there, and he was coming, he was walking after his dog, and like Darren said, there were no signs that this was going to go sour, and the guy kept saying, oh, he's friendly, don't worry, and Darren didn't.
Yeah, so dog comes up beside AJ on his left flank side, and so at this point in time, the dog is just sniffing AJ a little bit. AJ's calm. AJ's the sweetest guy. He's not dog aggressive. He's like, he's so calm. He wasn't worried at all. And so the guy comes up behind his dog, and as soon as he went to bend down to grab his dog and put the collar back on, the dog immediately snapped and got AJ in the left ear. So he bit the ear right down to the base of the skull and clamped onto it, full grip. So at this point in time, AJ started screaming, and immediately the reaction was the pit bull wanted to pull one way, AJ wanted to pull this way. And so I immediately jumped towards the pit bull, tried to stop it to pull against AJ, and thankfully Amanda was there also, and who was very calm-headed and was able to keep AJ from pulling backwards to prevent him from tearing the ear and creating more damage that was already happening. And the guy also was right behind his dog and was able to pounce on him to try to secure the dog from pulling also. So at this point in time, he was able to get the collar back around the dog. And so my immediate thought at this time was to try to choke the dog out and off of AJ. And, this is one of your go-tos, and everybody says, just choke the dog out if it's on type thing, or wheelbarrow it, or there's all kinds of suggestions out there what you can do. So immediately I took my hands into the collar and turned the collar as tight as I could. The leash wasn't on the collar at this point in time. And everything was happening so fast, but so slow. And I could not get this dog off, or could not choke this dog off fast enough where I could prevent as much damage to AJ's ear as possible. So at this point in time, Amanda's yelling at the guy and saying, try to pry him off, and we know trying to pry him off is going to be, we had nothing to pry him off with in the first place, but but then if we would have had something other way to choke him out, like what I was doing on the collar, I was putting everything I had into it. And this dog is a big stout dog. He had a muscular neck on him, and he was not coming off fast enough. So at this point in time, Amanda's yelling, at the guy, get your dog off. And next thing you know, I see her fist come over, hammer smash this dog on the muzzle, on the side of the face, and she hit him about 3 times. And at this point in time, I seen the grip shift a little bit, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be my new go-to. And then I ended up taking my left fist and I punched the dog in the eye socket, and it came off immediately, nice and clean. And then at this point in time, we pinned the dog, and Amanda was able to get AJ cleared far enough away. So there's many suggestions out there. Amanda posted this on her TikTok. If you want to give a couple of comments of what some people said.
I got a lot of mixed reviews. You see on TikTok a lot of popular trainers, a lot of people saying, choke the dog out, that's the best way, it's the most effective. And it just seems overall to be the most popular. And I understand why. I understand the logic, but sometimes the application is different. And in this situation where the dog had slipped out of its collar, it had no equipment, makes it very difficult to choke it out. Fortunately, the guy was able to get the collar back on, but in the event he wasn't able to, then choking it out would have been not an option whatsoever. Some people understood that. Some people were of the mindset that choking a dog out always works, and if it didn't work for you, then you either didn't do it properly or you didn't do it long enough. And I can guarantee that Darren did do it properly, and that if anybody was going to get this dog off of our dog, it would have been Darren. And that's when I realized that I had to come up with something else. I had to think fast on the spot, because the problem wasn't that it wasn't working or it wouldn't have worked. Of course, over time, eventually, it would have worked. Eventually, the dog would have become deoxygenated and no longer stay on the grip. The problem is how long would have that taken and how much damage would have ensued, because we know that every second that the dog is latched onto another one, the damage is just escalating. And I didn't want to see that happen, obviously. You look at your own dog, just hanging from another dog's mouth, screaming and making these guttural noises that I will never, till the day I die, forget. And you feel helpless. You feel like they absolutely need you, and they are depending on you to help them. And the only thing that was running through my mind at that time was, how am I going to get this dog off of him? And those that understand on TikTok understand, and those that don't, you can only explain. And the purpose of me sharing this story on my TikTok and on our social media and even on our podcast now is to shed light on different situations and give people another technique to use in the arsenal, because let's face it, not everything is going to work with every situation, and the more prepared you are for something like this, the better off.
Yeah, it was just this particular situation what happened to us, and there's all kinds of different dog fights, multiple dogs on one dog, every situation is different. This is what we use on our situation, so thankfully it worked good for us. And so the guy, he showed a little bit of remorse in the beginning. Obviously, we did have damage to the ear. It was eight stitches, couple tears in the ear, 2 drains, and vet fee of $1,200. And they had to sedate AJ to do that, of course. So
yeah, immediately after we got the pit bull off, it was evident that AJ was going to need immediate vet care. So I rushed him to our local emergency vet. Thankfully, they were able to get us in, and they rushed him right there for on-the-spot surgery. They found 3 puncture wounds in the ear, resulting in, like Darren said, 8 stitches and 2 drains, and a hefty vet bill that we have not received any compensation for at this point in time. Not that it's entirely about that, because we would have paid endless, to help him. It's not about the money, but it was a serious dog attack, and it was disappointing to see the response from the other owners, because I know that if we were ever in that kind of situation, we would be acting totally different.
Yeah, for sure. And this has all happened like 1 week before our wedding. And plus our dogs were going to be in our wedding photos. AJ was obviously going to be in there.
He still was.
Yeah. And then on our honeymoon, we had to make arrangements with another vet to our destination point to have the AJ's stitches taken out, because we took our dogs with us on our honeymoon. So, which in itself was a lot of fun. So just going forward, we've come up with our own everyday carry for walking our dogs, and Amanda can tell you what we're doing with that. And it's so just like we don't go out of the house without it now. So
yeah, we definitely want to be proactive and just avoid any sort of dog attack. And the reality is, unfortunately, people think that if they avoid off-leash dog parks, that they're going to avoid off-leash dogs and the potential for a dog attack, and that's just simply not true. You see off-leash dogs everywhere, even in places where they shouldn't be off-leash, even dogs that owners claim can be off-leash when it's very obvious that they shouldn't be. There's no recall, there's no manners. Dogs escaping from yards, from houses, from cars, dogs escaping from their equipment. It's just everywhere. You have to be on guard, you have to be alert, and you have to be prepared. And that's why going forward, Darren and I carry a dog spray that you can get off of Amazon. It comes like next day Prime delivery. They have different variations, keychain ones, armband ones, little Velcro ones that you can carry in your hand. Easily accessible, works really well. It's just an awesome product. I think it's like $21 or something like that. We have how many? Like 6 of them all over the place. And it's just used as reassurance. We're not out spraying every dog. It has to present a threat. It has to, within reason. Of course, if given the choice, you indicate to the owner, recall your dog or I'll spray. You give that warning. And, from there, depending on the situation, you either spray the ground, like in front of the dog, or you spray the dog itself if need be. And it's just the best way to truly, truly avoid a dog attack, because I firmly believe that being proactive and preventing something like this is so, so much better than just thinking, I would just choke a dog out, or, they punched in the eye socket, so I'll do that. Just avoid it altogether. And in avoiding it, you also have to consider your own dog and the safety of your own dog, and making sure that you have proper equipment on your dog. Because as easy as it is for other dogs to come and approach yours and equipment to fail, it could happen to you, and that goes back to having high quality equipment that you understand how it works and to use it effectively, stuff that fits your dog properly. We have what we believe as the best of the best equipment.
Yeah, and there's no point of putting equipment on your dog if it doesn't fit properly or it can get out of it. So, we have Leerberg leashes, which is they're a 2-stage leash. We walk with our dogs with a prong collars on, and then plus they have the flat collars, so we have a double barrier, so the leash hooks to both of them. So there's no possible way that our dogs are getting out of the leash, and good solid quality leather, and we make sure you have to make sure that your dog can't pull out of the collar. So test your collar, try to pull it over top of your dog's head, and if it does, then your equipment's faulty. And make sure your collars are adjustable, like you can make it tighter. If you're going to go out for a walk, you can tighten it up a little bit, and then if you have your collar on at home, you can loosen it up a little bit, that kind of thing. So, and
especially if you have a large dog, a medium or large size dog, get a collar that has proper buckles or proper materials, because you see these really janky little clasps, and that is not going to hold back, especially if all you're doing is walking on that collar, just a flat collar, and it has one of those plastic little clasps. That is not reliable, and you really should have proper materials that are high quality, and we prefer a buckle. If not, I would settle for one of those specialty tactical clips, but even still, I firmly believe buckles are the best.
Yeah, I think the buckles are the best, because we've had some of the clip collars too, and we've had our dogs in the house, and all of a sudden pop, it came off. So yeah, you got to make sure you have a good clasp on it for sure.
So focus on what you can control, your own equipment, your own dog, and then the next step would be to be proactive, to prevent. Carry a dog spray. We did speak, obviously the police were involved with this altercation. We did check with them to see, where we stood with using a dog spray, and they said, it's totally above board if it's a genuine threat and you're using a dog spray, not anything.
Yeah, you can't be using a bear spray.
You can't use anything else. So. It's got to be above board, a dog spray. Yeah. We can link the one below that we use. We love it. And carry it on you, have it accessible. Don't have it deep in your pocket or your belt bag. Have it someplace that you can pull it out if you need to quickly. And then last but not least, be prepared and have different techniques and options in your mind, and try to be as prepared as possible. If worse comes to worse and a dog fight actually breaks out, what are you going to do? Because there's different types of dog fights, there's different types of situations, and depending on what that looks like for you at the time, you're going to have to act accordingly.
Yeah, the dog spray is not 100% guaranteed. Like we're saying, there's many different situations out there. So, but it is a very good deterrent to prevent it happening in the first place. So, but as for AJ right now, he's doing good. He's a solid guy. He has a good nerve. He hasn't showed any signs of, skittishness to other dogs or aggression to other dogs because of what's happened, and he's just, you couldn't find a better solid dog, that has no issue after what's happened. So
it amazes me. I can't believe that after everything that poor baby went through, and the trauma and the pain and the suffering he endured, I truly can't believe how quickly and seamlessly he has bounced back. It just goes to show, a true testament to his breeding and his nerve and his mindset, and just him. He really is so strong and so resilient. And if you know AJ, you know that he's the sweetest boy ever, and the least deserving of something like this. And so we feel like it's our duty to us and to him to spread awareness spread his story and try to prevent this from happening to other dogs.
Yeah, we just got a message from one of our friends today. He had a similar incident happen to him, and he was carrying, because of us telling our story on our social media, he did carry dog spray with him, and he did have aggressive dog come up to his dog, try to attack him, and he was able to deter it away with the dog spray. So I'm glad to see that it did help one person already. So just hopefully it doesn't happen to any more people, but we know it does happen, and you just got to do your best to protect yourself and your dog. So
so if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and we'll be sure to get back to you. If you have any other episode or conversation topics that you'd like us to discuss, please leave them down below as well, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for